Your Excellency, President Poroshenko, Madame Poroshenko, distinguished guests, dear friends, I would like to welcome Your Excellency, President Poroshenko and Madame Poroshenko on your visit to the Maltese Islands. Your Excellency, your state visit to Malta is a historical one, as this is the very first visit of a Ukrainian head of state. This visit is also historical for the number of agreements which have been signed today. Such agreements are crucial to open completely opportunities to explore and develop the potential collaborations between our countries in a wide spectrum of areas. These mutual agreements are all due to the number of high-level meetings which have recently taken place and are evidence of the vibrant ties between our two nations. Malta welcomes the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding on bilateral consultations, which will lead to further dialogue and renewed cooperation between our respective foreign ministries. Furthermore, Malta welcomes the signing of agreements in the areas of culture, of sports, and of higher education. These memoranda of understanding are examples of close collaboration between our respective authorities, which shall lead to deeper contacts among the diverse communities of our countries. In light of such interactions and today's signing of agreements, we must positively note that relations between Malta and Ukraine have now steadily grown deeper than the diplomatic relations which were first established in 1992 to the further benefit of our peoples. On the other hand, the friendship that has developed between our nations also reflects the shared values that we hold so dear. Our firm commitment to build sustainable peace within our respective regions and achieving solidarity between all nations of goodwill will continue to seal the bonds of friendship between us and our peoples. During these times of global uncertainty, we must safeguard our democratic ideals, which are more essential now than ever before. We must continue to build stronger links between and among all our countries and across the various regions of Europe through an ongoing process of dialogue. Let me therefore encourage greater synergy between the cultural and business communities of our nations. By developing such synergies, our cultural and business communities shall be able to effectively and efficiently identify new opportunities for mutual growth. New opportunities can be explored in the areas that include the tourism industries, aircraft registration and the aviation services, financial and banking services, the insurance sector, pharmaceuticals, iGaming, healthcare provision, education, and the teaching of English language as a foreign language. It is clear that a focus on the economic prosperity of our societies is essential in order to address social concerns as well. Furthermore, Malta has been and shall continue to be a champion of democracy, and for this reason, it is a strong supporter of the principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. Your Excellency, I would also like to take the opportunity to commend you for the progress your country has made, which is leading to substantial improvements that are strengthening your nation's resilience. Malta remains dedicated to fully implementing the European Union's appeal for an end to all forms of conflict in the region in order for peace-building measures and dialogue to take root. The priorities of the Maltese presidency of the Council of the European Union are aimed at such efforts. These priorities shall initiate and sustain peace and solidarity, both across Europe in general and beyond. I must highlight the commitment that all nations made through the United Nations Agenda 2030 and its Sustainable Development Goals to create a culture of peace, of solidarity, and of well-being for the benefit of all inhabitants of our world. Your Excellency, I believe that we must continue to strengthen our efforts with a focus on education and culture so that our children and young people who shall one day take our place as the leaders of tomorrow will enjoy a world that is conducive to peace and prosperity. For this reason, I am pleased to share an example of cultural diplomacy that took place through last year's Junior Eurovision Song Contest, which was held in Malta. Children from Ukraine, Albania, Belarus, and Bulgaria joined their peers from other countries to visit Malta. These children had the opportunity to share new experiences and to learn about Maltese culture and to dialogue with students from Malta and Gozo. It is this quality of connection, of person-to-person encounter, and the living exchange of experiences that can bring our nations further together through friendships that build and enhance a culture of sustainable and positive peace. I believe that we must explore further opportunities for our children and young people to come together so as to enhance their understanding of the ideals of peace, the principles of democratic participation, respect for human rights, and the upholding of the rule of law. On a lighter note, I would like to conclude by sharing my hopes that the upcoming friendly football match between Malta and Ukraine, which shall be held next month as part of the preparations for the 2018 World Cup qualifier, will be an opportunity for sports diplomacy and for our peoples to foster an atmosphere of friendship. Thank you, and I wish you all a pleasant evening.
Dear President Kalera Preka, distinguished audience, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, first of all, let me start with the words of sincere gratitude and appreciation for the very warm and cordial welcome in the hospitable land of Malta. I take this welcome as a gracious gesture of the Maltese people in support of the closer bonds between our countries, our nation, and our people. But above all, in support of prosperity, stability, and peace in our homes. And I am honored to receive this message in order to take it back to my country and share it with my fellow Ukrainians. It is with this message that the first state visit of the President of Ukraine to Malta is opening today absolutely new page in the history of our relation. Our relations are founded on a solid base of friendship and mutual respect. They also rest on the remarkable foundation of the historical symbolic events to which I pay my tribute. It goes above all to the late President Malta, Guido De Marco, in his capacity of the President of the 45th session of the United Nations General Assembly. He was in Ukraine and could witness the passing of the Act of Independence of Ukraine in Ukrainian Parliament in August 24th, year 1991. Nothing could be timelier and more symbolic than such an event. It stands as a milestone in the history of our relation. Malta was not only witness to the rebirth of Ukraine. Malta also happens to be guide for Ukraine as my country is returning to where it belongs, returning to the United Europe. Malta was one of the first EU member states to ratify at the national level Association Agreement of European Union with Ukraine. Today you have chance to become the country under the host EU presidency. The EU-Ukraine Association Agreement will finally have been ratified by all 28 EU member states. Complementing the achievement of the visa-free regime for Ukrainian nationals, such a development would be of the great historic significance for the European cooperation. And I applaud to the long-awaited decision on visa-free travel for the Ukrainian, which comes also during the period of the Maltese EU presidency, which is vitally important for my 45 million nation. Let me thank you for supporting this important initiative. Let me also thank you for your firm and consistent support for my country at the time when it needs the most. You have significantly contributed to the political and economic pressure that the EU is putting on Russia in response to the Russian aggression against my nation. It remains critically important to keep this pressure in place until Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity has restored, including the deoccupation of Crimea. Yet again, in the modern history of Ukraine, we are fighting for our independence, but we are also fighting for the future of the united Europe as we know it. That is why our fight is your fight as well. Allow me to be absolutely crystal clear and straightforward about my message. If there is a path by which prosperity, stability, and peace can return to our common European house, these days that the path runs absolutely through Ukraine. It also runs through our unity, through our solidarity, through the closer ties between our great nations. Apropos, we can nurture these values by various means, even by means of football, as Madam President said. In a few weeks, on June the 6th, our football team will play in a friendly match. No doubt it will be an entertaining game. Let me assure you that Ukraine is ready to build upon such an approach, and not only in a fine sport of football. I cordially invite you to engage in every sphere of our common interest.